Hi everyone. We are going to talk about focus on learning. Manage change. I have lots of different articles focus on this. We use the one in which we talk about the Google and jobs. Three things that we want to look at there. Okay, so let me make a point here. We want to, one of the things they referred to was GPA. Okay, and then the ability to adjust. There's a key part in the article where they talked about that, and then the ability to fail. All right, so let's. First thing in the article that you'll notice they talk about this GPA. It's a little dark, but they talk about GPAs. I'll go back here. This part here where they talk about GPAs are worthless criteria in hiring, and so are test scores. What they're saying is getting an education isn't important. It's just that the grades don't always indicate how well you're going to do on the job. They just don't. We could, so they talk about these 5 hiring attributes. Okay, number 1, general cognitive ability. Not IQ, cognitive ability. I don't know, I like to think of cognitive ability is your ability to learn, to think, learn, figure things out. Okay, so what we're saying here then is that's more important than necessarily a good grade. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting good grades, striving to get good grades, but I'm going to try to make the point here today that that's not the bottom line. Okay? So, comment. Are you grade driven? Are you the type of student that the grade is everything? You're only driven to get a good grade. All your work and so forth is based on the grade. Okay? There's nothing really wrong with that, but aren't we here to learn? And what Google has found, that just because you're driven to get good grades doesn't mean you've learned or you've come to the ability to adapt. Grade driven. Okay? Another one, task driven. Some students, all they want to do is get the task done. They go to Canvas and they just look at the task and they only do the assignments. They don't read the material, they don't follow through, they just worry about the assignments. And it was interesting because the online students missed some work I wanted them to do because I didn't have a due date on it, which tells me they weren't working through the modules in order, they just want to do the task. I would never ask my kids if they got their homework done. Because if you ask them to get their homework done, then the goal is to complete the homework, when really the goal should be to learn the material. They have a better understanding of what they're working on. They have a better process to solve something. Plus, people who are task-driven, when they procrastinate and they only have the task to do, sometimes they'll resort to even cheating to get the task done, because all they want to do is get the task done. They're not concerned about learning. Now, let's go in and look at another couple things in here. They talk about the second is leadership, and they talk about an emergent leadership as opposed to traditional leadership. Okay, this idea what we care about is when faced with a problem, you're a member of a team, you do, as appropriate times, step in and lead, and just as critically, you step back and stop leading. Humility and ownership. Embrace the better ideas of others. I think people have a hard time doing it, especially if it attacks their personal worth. Okay? So let's scroll up here a little bit. I kind of like how they word it here. Something bad happens because somebody's an idiot, or I didn't get the resources market moved, or whatever. What we've seen that people who are the most successful here, we want to hire, have a fierce position. They'll argue like hell, there's zealots about the point of view, but then here's a new fact. And they'll go, oh well, that changes everything. You're right. You need a big eagle and a small eagle. To succeed, you've got to stand behind, but when you stand behind your thoughts, but once you see a better approach, a different direction, you got to be able to back away and look at it. All right. So that, I talk about the ability to adjust. Okay? The way we learn in the classes I teach are the students do the work. Okay? The students do the work. They do the outline. Okay? They have to watch the videos for the assignments. Etc., etc., etc. And then here they talk a little bit to sum up approach to hiring. Talent can come in so many different ways and so forth. Google attracts talent and can afford to look beyond traditional, I should tell you where I'm reading. Tax talent can look beyond the traditional metrics like GPA. For most young people, though, going to college and doing well is still the best way to master the tools needed for their career. So let me get to my last point. In the article they talk about not learning to fail. You might want to go back. I think it's like paragraph 6. Not learning to fail. You need to be able to fail in order to improve. Okay? And you can't be scared of failing. You got to try things in school. Education's a great place to try things and see what happens. So, to finish this up, are you grade driven? Are you task driven? Or are you knowledge driven? Of course, you know what I'm going to say now. You need to be knowledge driven. You can't let these two get in the way of actually learning the material. Okay? Next step, we'll talk some more about focus on learning in our next item coming up. That's it for today on this.